So when I was younger, I used to get in trouble a whole lot. A lot of it had to do with I knew stuff. I didn't know how I knew stuff. I would tell my parents about it. I would tell my household about it, and of course, I was told to stay in the child's place. There were plenty times it was probably beaten out of me. It was silenced out of me, or I was rejected for it. I noticed this infection of silence grew and grew. And not only was it in my household, well, believe it or not, it was also in the church, which was crazy to me because I'm like, hey, this is supposed to be a safe haven. And it wasn't a safe haven because silence was there too. I saw a lot of cover ups. I saw a lot of things that I was like, well, this is interesting. Why is it in the church? Where this infection is silence, right? Amongst many infections that infiltrated the church. Why am I saying this? Well, this silence, right, that is an infection that been infiltrated homes, infiltrated churches, infiltrated families, right? You see the repercussion of it. How do I know this? Because there's a lot of people who are still allowing the pedophile or the molester in the family to still come around children, to still come around family reunions, to be invited to weddings and whatnot. We see the witch doctors still getting invited to weddings, still getting invited to family reunions, still getting invited to the house, and we're trying to figure out this is the same witch priest or witch doctor that has kept the bloodline tied up, but they're still getting praise and brung around the family. Makes no sense to me. We see it in the church. The same people that was doing the cover-ups, the same people that witnessed the cover-ups, the same people that were bystanders end up having children, and now these children are adults, and now what are those adults doing? They're in perversion. Many of them who were in homosexuality, they saw it when they were kids. They saw it growing up, or they were introduced to it, whether through some type of video or whether through some type of tape, or somebody brought it up in the church van. Nobody questioned it. It was brought up at a youth event. Nobody talked about it, and now it's in full perversion. So now that person was introduced to that very thing that was never addressed. Everybody stayed silent about, and now we have a walking generation of people in the church and outside the church full of perversion, full of homosexuality, full of trauma. Uh, uh, the list goes on: rape, molestation, abuse, mental abuse. People, they were taught, to take advantage, to manipulate people, to take advantage of, if the person had money, take advantage of them. And they were taught all of this through what? The infection of silence. And so what the funny thing is that people think that, oh well, I'm in a better neighborhood, I'm in a good neighborhood, I'm in a good school zone, my life is up, life is lit. I'm able to do X, Y, and Z. I can provide for all my children. But what they don't understand is because no one has rejected that spirit, and the spirit could be different for every person's household. Nobody rejected it. They think that all is well. See what silence does? Silence literally, as an infection, it infiltrates, and then it takes a while until it's no longer dormant and it flares up. Just like with actual diseases, there are some diseases out of nowhere. But the thing is, it entered as an agent. However, it entered. For the sake of this video, it entered as an infection. It lied dormant, and so it was dormant all these years. And then after 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, it's now flaring up. Yes, that's what silence does. So I know your mama, your big mama, them old heads, them people who have been the clergy. They're not gonna. They were taught. You see, silence was taught. But nobody pointed to the scriptures. Nobody pointed to Ephesians chapter 5, verse 11, to have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose it. Why? Because silence of darkness turns into the death of a generation, the death of a bloodline. It turns into trickery. It turns into a cancer cell. It turns into sickness. It turns into infirmity. It turns into passed down trauma, passed down abuse. It turns into a lot of things. So I hope I encourage you today. There's a time to be silent, but when it comes to darkness, what does the scripture says? So the next time somebody tells you and they're like, oh yeah, God is gonna work it out, and you just found out that this person was sleeping with a teenager, or you just found out that this person was abusing someone, or you just found out that this person was doing spiritual adultery to church members, ask them what scripture says to stay silent about that. What scripture they got that from? Love you.